The future of behavioral health is boutique. We are tired of the mass produced behavioral health services. We are not cheap products from overseas that you can just use to maximize profits. When it comes to behavioral health services, it's real human beings in vulnerable, desperate situations seeking help, whether it's past trauma, whether it's current relational stress. When we go to get help, in the highest level of care, some facilities are downright scary, and the facilities that appear to be amazing and that maybe even our doctor recommended to us, the experience is mixed in there. Some of the providers are rock stars, and then most of them are just kind of while some are downright terrible. Today I'm going to be going through the article that I posted on LinkedIn called "The Future of Behavioral Health is Boutique." I'm going to be reading it through for those of you who don't like to read and just explaining a lot of it. If you're in the behavioral health field, you are familiar with this unsettling dichotomy. Companies promoting wellness services while making their employees sick in the process. The behavioral health industry has ignored the principles of balance and wellness on which it was founded to embrace capitalism. Therapists are seeing clients back to back all day, and many are barely making ends meet. Counselors in the addiction field are overworked and underpaid. Paraprofessionals, quote, are being exploited as laborers doing work that websites and behavioral health providers promise to line their pockets. Graduate students are drowning in debt, unable to comfortably keep up with student loan payments. Okay, there goes me saying the quiet part. I'm so happy to see recently from doing some research on YouTube that I didn't even mean to do this research, but I just fell into this kind of rabbit hole of therapists speaking about either why they left the field or their true, honest, real, raw, negative experience with certain aspects of the field. Why would we be telling clients who are chronically stressed? I have dealt with so many clients, and I didn't hear other counselors emphasizing this, but talking about how stressful their jobs were, and that was the main driver of feeling their issues. That was the main driver, not that they didn't have underlying unresolved issues, but the just amount of stress that they were being put on in certain positions or at certain companies was just crazy. I have been hearing people on YouTube talk about toxic work environment, being completely underpaid, not getting enough clients to provide for themselves, but at the end of the day, no one should be seeing clients back to back to back. So let's continue. Professionals providing services are undertrained and thrown into real client work before they're ready. There are some exceptional practitioners in this field who are, quote, naturals and carry the field, but there are major inconsistencies in the quality of services being provided to clients. The expectations for client care quality are low unless ethical dilemmas arise that specifically trigger certain agencies and thus affect companies' bottom lines. That's the only time quality control or systemic changes are made, and they're made with swift urgencies. No matter what level you're at, I'm going to specifically talk about master's students because they're a really common practice in master's programs for people training to be therapists is that they will see college students, like at that program, undergrad students. Why? And so here's the problem. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But anyways, you take a practicum class. You have to be enrolled in a practicum class. And that's what qualifies you to be ready for clients. They're not doing intense hands-on training where they're being observed throughout class. How do I know this? People are going to say, why are you qualified? How do you know? How do you know? I know many people in programs currently. I know people who have graduated from programs, master's and doctorate. I've been a client. I know other people who have been clients. I know many counselors in the addiction field. I know other kinds of professionals, peer support specialists. I know what the training is. It's not a secret. You could go to people's websites, all of these programs' websites, the majority of them. But we're going to get more into that a little bit later. Oh, let's talk about there are inconsistencies in the quality of services being provided, and naturals carry the field. There are some exceptional providers, and when you find them, it's like you struck gold. It shouldn't be like that. Like, if someone's special, they're special. But the reason why it feels so special is because of all the inconsistencies, all the mediocre professionals who were undertrained. And I feel bad for the professionals who are undertrained because they're going in, and I know this again from speaking to people who have gone to the programs, they didn't feel ready to actually deliver services because they were not. Okay. When a client encounters a practitioner who is a natural or just very skilled, they cling to them desperately. not just because they appreciate them, but because of prior experiences with mediocre practitioners. One of the unique aspects of the behavioral health field is the strong internal motivation many professionals have to work in it. People often have a huge heart for helping others and want to see others do well. The corporatized model of behavioral health is the antithesis of quality, dignified care. It is all about maximizing profits by having more clients, fewer workers to pay a reasonable wage, many are underpaid, less time spent on training because that would take time away from income producing activities, and more revenue. I feel like that speaks for itself. That's just the corporate capital model. And it's the unethical expression of it. You could argue if it's ethical at all, but there's a very highly unethical expression of it. I don't think it's all bad, but this one where and it's particularly bad in the behavioral health field because it should never be set up this way. This is not you're buying paper towels. Okay, this is you're getting services that could be the reason why whether or not you continue doing drugs. It could be the reason why your relationship, you stay together or you fall apart. There's a lot at stake. Are you suicidal? This is people's lives. This is not, like I said, some Ziploc bags. So what are my sources? Experience as a client, a loved one, a friend, and as someone who knows a whole lot of grad students and associate and licensed practitioners, ranging from master's to doctorate. Therapy shouldn't be some mass-produced product, as is the uncapped, unethical model of capitalism. Seeing back-to-back clients as a new practitioner when your sessions are not monitored ensures that practitioners earn licensure with really bad habits. So before you graduate school, you have to complete a certain amount of hours. And then once you graduate, you have to complete a certain amount of hours to get licensed, no matter what kind of program you do. Licensed practical counselor, licensed marriage and family therapist, or marriage and family practical counselor, licensed clinical social worker, doctorate in clinical psychology, PsyD. Okay, those are a few examples. But when you hear, oh, they did 3,000 hours, that may seem like, oh, they did all these hours. They were unmonitored. The majority of programs do not monitor sessions. We're going to get into that later. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, people do earn their licenses after doing hours of unmonitored therapy. We've all seen terrible therapists. We all know other people's stories of terrible therapists. And not just terrible therapists, and even in the addiction field, terrible counselors. Let's continue. Student therapists undergoing master's degree training are permitted to see college students to practice their skills in an unmonitored capacity. Students will report what happened to their supervisor during supervision, but what actually happened, no one will ever know. There are students, associates, trainees, and licensed folks who are causing harm to vulnerable clients every day. I'm not even going to get into my experience because I knew what risk I was taking by seeing a student. It was really bad at my school, and I should have reported it. I was so vulnerable at the time. I should have reported it, but I just figured, you know what, let me just get out and get help. Really, really bad. 2 really bad experiences, back to back, honestly. Same cohort. Insurance companies just need to know a practitioner's credentials and to see a pretty service note describing what took place to pay the invoice. Add in some quotes from the clients and you're good as gold. So if you guys don't know, no matter what field of healthcare, every service has to have a corresponding note. So if they're billing for 1 hour therapy, 2 hours of group treatment, an hour case management session, there has to be a detailed note about what service took place, what it entailed, where it took place, what was the client's presentation, what did they say, and that's all insurance needs in order to say, okay, this is a service that happened, we'll pay. In a field such as substance use treatment, which is a specialty field infamously known for chasing people away, a lot of people don't like to work in this field, or they didn't like working in this field. Counselors are undertrained and therapists are undereducated about substance use disorder and substance use treatment. Some states are pushing to implement master's degree requirements for addiction counselors, which will not solve the problem. And it will bring more people into the field who think that writing papers on parts therapy qualifies them to work with recovering addicts. Addiction recovery is a specialty. It is a unique specialty where not a lot of people understand it at all. Lay people, clinical psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, they just don't. The people who know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, let's talk about the master's degree requirement that for addiction treatment that so many people that I don't want to say so many people. I've heard discussions about it, and also some states are trying to require that or working towards requiring that. That's not going to solve the problem. That might actually make it worse. The counselors need training. People who have been through recovery, near recovery, or who specifically want to work with recovering addicts are the people who need to work with them. Should they have much more training? Absolutely. Do they need a master's degree? Not necessarily, because the people with the master's degree do terrible in this field. A lot of them. Some do great, of course, not everyone. But a lot of them, first of all, they don't want to because they're like, I did not become a therapist to deal with this. And I don't blame you. You have to really be called to it, and you got to understand it as well. Don't get me started on registered behavior technicians who specialize in applied behavior analysis therapy for individuals with autism. Random ABA therapy companies keep popping up and are mass producing workers to write session notes so they can send their invoices. Guys, look up ABA therapy. So many jobs for that. And I did ABA therapy in 2019. Was it 2019? Yeah. And since then, every single year, more and more of these ABA therapy companies pop up. Okay. I'll have to speak about psychiatrists separately. Some of the most educated individuals are either doing a whole lot of harm or a whole lot of nothing. Sneak peek. Many clients are pharmacological guinea pigs, terrible clinical interviewing skills, cold providers, they're MDs, not therapists, seeing clients once a month or less for 10 minutes to keep them on a medication, either not doing anything or worse, harming them, among other atrocities. What an awesome way to make $400,000 a year. Here is what needs to change in behavioral health. Number 1, providers are seeing way too many clients. 2, training is insufficient. 3, quality control is non-existent, aside from particular ethical dilemmas that may block insurance money or other funding. Besides supervision, where practitioners report what happened, but you never actually know what happened. Let's talk about the quality control, what I mean by ethical dilemmas that block insurance money. If there is an ethical dilemma that rises in a practice or a facility, and certain agencies find out about it, they will recoup the money. They will just refuse to pay for the service. And so they're like, we can't have our money affected. We got to change this. They do it fast. Okay. The future is boutique. The word boutique evokes images of a small niche fashion store that just may be a new hidden gem. The customer service is often better, used to be at least. The clothes are unique, and you may just get personally styled there. The boutique model is the only way clients seeking services will receive the quality of care that they deserve. The financial strain of opening and running a business is high, and the rising cost of living makes this model more inaccessible than ever. Many who understand the old way of doing things, sucking resources derived from hardworking individuals, is on its way out. And for some, it's hard to believe that because it is still here. But let me tell you, people are sick and tired, and pride comes before the fall. There's always a very blind, nauseating rise before a catastrophic decline, but then calm and peace come eventually. Back to the point about the boutique model of behavioral health. The current model, where clients wait in some waiting room that businesses trying to make seem more inviting with some ambient music and maybe some peaceful looking art, doesn't change the feeling of the revolving door model of treatment that just feels so impersonal. With the boutique model, clients would have individualized treatment that didn't feel limited or like a small piece of the pie. When it comes to inpatient treatment, companies attempt to give a boutique feeling, but you have to have the courage to break through the corporate wall to find out. Right now, patients seeking inpatient treatment for behavioral health problems such as mental health, eating disorders, and substance use treatment face a similar process. So I'm going to go through the process with you just to give you a visual. I'm not going to go step by step into each of these unless you guys want me to in a separate video. I'm just going to paint the scenario. Number 1, you and your family member desperately seeks treatment. Number 2, you land on several scammy looking websites obviously designed to sell. 3, you enter your information on some random form and submit it, sending it into the ethers, hoping someone contacts you back. You may submit a few and someone will eventually call you back, maybe immediately or within a day. They give a corporate customer service greeting, but they still sound like a salesperson. You're so desperate for treatment that you continue with the process because it is the closest thing you have at the time to getting help. You can hardly find any info about the company online. This is bringing back memories. Maybe some articles. maybe some YouTube videos about their clinical approach. The review seems suspicious. They promise all these different therapeutic modalities, and you just continue with the process because, again, you're desperate. Oh, and they got to collect your insurance and identify your copay. People who are desperately seeking treatment do not need to be sold to. They need to be served with sincerity and heart. Once they're in treatment, hopefully they landed in a decent facility, their experience is highly mixed. Okay, let's talk about the principles of the boutique model of behavioral health. So you should be able to call a provider and speak to a person not trying to sell to you and be able to ask questions without them seeming rushed because a million people are calling. Facilities should have half as many clients to provide 100% more support, which is what clients are promised. The other hours should be spent with hands-on training, consulting with professionals, and independently researching ways to support clients, etc. Transparency about the services provided. I'm tired of seeing websites that offer 50 different types of therapy that doesn't even make sense. What will the days in the program look like? There's too much mystery. Supportive client feedback protocols. Corporatized behavioral health models shield facilities and providers from being held accountable for low quality treatment unless there is an ethical dilemma that will trigger organizations connected to their revenue. Okay, so let me talk about this requirement. So facilities are required to do surveys at the end of treatment. It's a requirement. And the whole point of it is they're saying, oh, they're monitoring the quality or getting client feedback. So they're just monitoring their progress. Yeah. Okay, I completely skipped a paragraph. After working with hundreds of patients, being connected to many therapists, counselors, other providers as peers and associates, knowing leaders in this field, seeing family members, and receiving services throughout my life, facilities couldn't give a crap about your feedback regarding their quality. They are required to have a way for you to give feedback, but it goes nowhere because addressing it doesn't affect their revenue. They are allowed to provide low-quality services because their marketing and service notes make it seem like they are doing something special. Small businesses that embody safety and compassion. Here are some non-technical aspects of the boutique model. Only people in this field who care, not moneymakers. Only staff who meet certain EQ criteria. A degree don't mean a darn thing when it comes to empathy and compassion. The cool director at the program I went through made my head spin. If the corporatized model dies, many people will stop pursuing this field for money. Warmth, enough said, and transparency. That's both a technical and non-technical aspect. I would love to hear your thoughts about additional aspects that the boutique model model should embody. Lastly, mental health providers should mostly be small businesses filled with people who care. Yes, educational programs need to train their students better and not just allow them to see clients after a few classes and supervision where no one actually knows what they're doing. All their sessions should be monitored through double-sided glass or recorded throughout practicum and periodically during while pursuing licensure, and then randomly while licensed. There's a whole lot that needs improvement, but I'm putting this article out into the world to reach the right people who are truly called to this field, to shift their perspective and to help them to feel more optimistic. Many of us join this field to have a real impact without sacrificing our own well-being. People who truly care need to lead this field and the service delivery process. Let me know what you think about this concept below. I would love to hear your experiences and your story and your perspective. Peace.